The final level of SAMR is redefinition. You move through the levels to completely redefine what your unit looks like. You keep the same content, standards, and objectives, but now technology is allowing you to ask your students to evaluate at a deeper level and create on a more creative level than what we were used to as teachers prior to technology being introduced into our curriculum. So, as I started developing A Christmas Carol and kind of going through all the stages, I really started to think about, what my overall purpose was. And I really wanted students to understand characterization through this unit. And so I decided to have my students create mock Facebook pages. I used Google Sites in order to do this, and I will show you an example in just a few minutes. But I wanted to give you kind of an idea of what the students saw. So here were the Facebook requirements for Stave 1. You'll notice that I kept the literary focus, and it changes for each stave. In Stave 1, I'm focusing on characterization. I will also look at mood and atmosphere, theme throughout, and circle back through all of those in Stave 5. I also focus on figurative language that the students need to demonstrate that and include the vocabulary, which I showed you in modification, and I'll show you how that works again in redefinition. An example Facebook page that some of my students created. I created the basics for the Google Sites, so I made all the pages and I shared it with the students, so I had different groups. With this one, you'll kind of go through and see how students now have to really think about those characters. How are those characters going to interact online? What are some of the things that they would say? How can they use symbolism, especially through the change in weather, starting in Stave 1 through Stave 5? If you look at Scrooge's Facebook page, how many friends did he have at the beginning versus at the end? You'll notice that this student really incorporated the term humbug. The one person who would use it, obviously, is Scrooge. So there's a lot of implications there. As the student progressed through, trending feed was more of the page as to how all characters are interacting with each other. And you'll see that they've listed comments here as well, kind of doing a Scrooge watch. What I really liked was the cover page. This was the ghosts page, and the ghost is supposed to show, this page is supposed to show what the ghost was teaching throughout that particular stave. As this person progresses through, you'll see the use of vocabulary words highlighted in different language. So now they're not just memorizing the words, they're actually using the words in context with how those characters would behave online. Taking a look at, how many friends does this spirit have? What's the occupation? Kind of going through there. So the students are allowed to be extremely creative, coming up with the different hashtags, hashtag thank you, thanks for the support, never give up. This is language that the students understand, and they're showing that using their own creativity and connecting it with these characters as they develop personalities for them. They become real. Their connection is deeper. Their analyzing is deeper. They have to think about how every single picture plays a part. How do the videos play a part? They can embed videos as well. And so through this process of SAMR, you'll see the complete change that it has taken. I started with putting the digital content, simply worksheets online, substituting it, changing my vocabulary, changing a characterization paragraph to now completely changing the entire unit and how it interacts with the students. So these are the levels of SAMR. There are many different examples that you can go through, and within Schoology, I do have a post, a Google Doc in there that shows you different examples as to how you can take a lesson, move it through the different ladders of SAMR. I encourage you to look at that. Take some time to sit down. How can you take a unit? How can you develop it? How can you move students from substitution into augmentation, and even further up the ladder into modification redefinition, where the students are really working at the top of Bloom's taxonomy. That's where we want them to be. We want them challenged. We want them thinking critically. We want them creating. Take one lesson, change it, share it with the others in our Schoology account, and get some feedback to help you through it as well.